The number one, that attack was a false flag. The militia didn't even do it. We all know that the bad news apartheid ethnostate did that shit. Because what do they want more than anything? They want Iran out of the game because of the fact that they hate that they assist the Palestinians. That's why they also hated Saddam. I'm not making this shit up. That's why. That's the same reason they hate Syria. I talked about this a long time ago. The game plan was to get into Syria with a false flag, start a war to balkanize Syria, and at the same time get Iran in the war because they have a mutual defense pact. So what happened was they got up in there, Iran came in, guys like Soleimani started killing the terrorists that were backed by the white supremacist apartheid ethnostate. Now, America thought they would go in there and shit stomp Iran, but they were getting smacked up. And then Russia came in the game with China. That's what popped off. China brought their navy in there. And I already talked about that, where they tried to blast them the first time. And then Russia and China blasted their shit up out the mix. They don't talk about that. The white supremacists never admits when they take a loss. Then they came with the second strikes, and the S-200s shot most of them out the sky. They blew up a couple weapon silos. Whoop-de-doo. Now, what that set the stage for was what's popping off now. Soleimani was a major general and one of the guys responsible for smashing ISIS and chasing them back to Iraq, where America's trying to rebuild them and send them back there again. I already talked about it in the other video, where Afghanistan is a breeding ground for these terrorists that are trained in Jordan. Kind of works like the Afghanistan heroin pipeline, where they take the opium from Afghanistan, process it in Azerbaijan, then ship it around the world. They take these terrorists from Afghanistan, Saudi Arabia, etc., process some jack and dandies in Jordan, and then send them around the world to do terrorism. The Qatari military helped ship them into places like they shipped them in to Libya. We all saw the videos of the Qatari military giving weapons to the goddamn terrorists that they freed from them prisons and the dudes that were letting off them boats. It's fact. These guys created ISIS directly. It wasn't like a power vacuum or some bullshit. No. They found these guys. They armed these guys. They trained these guys. They gave them 30,000 goddamn Toyota Hilux trucks. And then they sent them out to murder people. They also gave them weapons pipelined from Libya to Syria via Chris Stevens and the Qatari military, as well as France. I ain't lying about none of this shit. Now, Prince Brad asked me to look up who Soleimani is. So I started doing the research. I had to figure this shit out. Who is this guy? Who's this jack-a-dandy that these people are all fighting for? So let's look at him. This guy he came up from nothing in Iran. They were peasants living in the woods. He worked construction to support his family. After the Iranian people created an organic movement to overthrow the brutal and vicious dictator Pahlavi, he joined the National Guard, the Revolutionary Guard, to serve his country that freed themselves from the white supremacist oligarchs, because that's who backed the brutal and vicious dictator Pahlavi. When his country was at war with Iraq, in a war that was started by the white supremacist oligarchs, who gave Saddam Hussein chemical weapons to use on the Iranians, he quickly rose within the ranks by locking it in, crunching them up, and getting them out the mix. Because remember, Saddam was compromised by the white supremacist oligarchs, and so they used him against Iran. It's a fact, man. These are facts. He locked it in on the Opium War when they were up in Afghanistan. He fought hard against the drug trade in Iran. And we all know that a certain group benefits from that as well because they're helping with the opioid crime wave in the white community. Even those evangelicals who are hooked on the shit in the white community that love to support a certain white supremacist apartheid ethnostate. It's truth. These are facts. Now, how he got onto the radar of the white supremacist apartheid ethnostate is because in 1998 he was put in charge of the Quds Force. And those are the guys who put in work outside of Iran. And he was very effective at what he did. He also saved a lot of students from getting smoked in a revolutionary battle. Because a lot of governments, like I said, ain't no good guys. A lot of these governments will blow your goddamn brains out, including the United States, because we saw what happened with Occupy Wall Street. They went out there, beat the shit out of those guys, shot them, got them up out the game. And they did the same thing in Kent, the Kent State Massacre. Smoked them kids. They put flowers in the guns, they blew them kids' brains out. That's what you're dealing with. Hell, look at what happened in Tulsa where the National Guard teamed up with the white supremacists to kill innocent blacks. Hell, I take it a step further. Ludlow, Colorado, where the white supremacist National Guard went and killed some innocent pedestrian white supremacists who were protesting against the Rockefellers, stiffing them out of cash. Men, women, and children killed by the National Guard at the behest of who? A white supremacist oligarch. Oh yeah, Jack and Dandy, I went there. So let's not play that game, for those who would bring up that point. Now, after 9/11, let's lock it in. He was killing a lot of Al-Qaeda members. And as we know, who propped up Al-Qaeda was the CIA. And I talked about how the CIA's terrorists were battling with the American military's terrorists, and they were having a pissing contest for a long time. The apartheid ethnostate really hates the fact that he was one of the major figures in creating Hezbollah in Lebanon. He oversaw the conflict where, let's face it, the apartheid ethnostate got their ass whipped. And rightfully so. Because a foundation of lies ain't no excuse to be going around killing people. But we ain't going there. And then, like I said, he helped Russia and the Syrian military smash the American-backed, created, and armed ISIS. So around the world, this man's viewed as a hero. They're burning American flags in Kashmir. They're marching in unison at mourning his death in Iran. People that were normally rioting a couple weeks ago are all lock in step. Iraqis went into an American military and started kicking up dust because this guy got killed. Now they're all allied. Now they're all locked in unison with Iran. You think they ain't going to take advantage of that, Jack and Dandies? Get real. This guy is now a fucking global hero to millions and millions of people. All because Trump, who has been compromised by an apartheid ethnostate of racist rabbinets, tricked his stupid ass into killing this guy. I mean, be honest, America had it locked in for the apartheid ethnostate. They just jumped the gun. Those riots were coming to a damn head and they were going to start another goddamn revolution themselves. But that's probably what America doesn't like. See, America, like I said, the white supremacists don't like it when you feed yourselves. They damn sure don't like it when you lead yourselves. We know that. Because every time somebody's about to crunch up something or lock something in, what do? They wheel out Lewis Walcott. They wheel out Al Sharpton. They wheel out John Lewis. They wheel out Jesse Jackson. They wheel out these civil rights clowns. And what is the first thing out of their mouth? Hey, don't do nothing, man. Let's march and vote for the Democrats. What about black on black crime? They do that shit. They're there to calm your ass down and keep you from taking things to where the fuck they need to go. That's all that is to that. And this is the same deal. But thanks to this action, let's be honest, you guys have created an atmosphere that has led to the taking of shit to where it's going to go. And it ain't going to work out the way that you want it. It will get Trump reelected, though. 100%. Because as we know, there's been a couple of situations like this before. Reagan attacked Grenada, reelected. Bush Sr. attacked Iraq. And then his puppet, Bill Clinton, got elected. Look it up. Bush Jr. attacked Iraq again right before he was reelected. Obama attacked Libya before he was reelected. And now Trump's going to do the same thing. Now, the question is why? Why do these people do this? Let me tell you, I already told you before, but I'll tell you again. There's a lot of perverts in D.C. Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, and Bush Sr. all used the same credit card to buy male prostitutes. Alright? All three of them Jack and Denny's. The one guy they really didn't have nothing on, but he was a major piece of trash, was Richard Nixon. So they got him up out the mix. JFK, they had a whole bunch of dirt on him. He had 2 kids that he used to bring in. I think their names were like Nancy and Fancy were the code names. And they'd send him in through the tunnels underneath the White House. And if you want to know why the White House has tunnels, well, it used to be a bit taller. But I ain't going to go there because people will start looking at me crazy. Anyway, he used to ship them in under the tunnels, and he used to pipe down this little brother and sister group. He used to also pipe down random chicks around town. Bring them in, dick them down, ship them out. So he had a lot of skeletons, and bad news came to talk to him. Alright? Bad news came to talk to him. And he was like, hey, fuck it. I do what the fuck I got to do. You can throw that shit right into my face. I don't give a fuck. So they was like, Shmoy J. Because, you know, I don't want to be anti-pseudo-Semitic. And so, yeah, there's that. So what happened was they hired the Zionist lobby. It was called the Zionist lobby back then. Hired a mafia member called Jacob Rubenstein. And they orchestrated this event. They got the patsy locked in. Took him up out the mix. Jacob Rubenstein did that himself. The Israelis locked it down overseas because he was going to have the inspectors come back again because he knew that the real lab where they were testing the stolen nukes that they had taken from America were underneath the silo in Dimona. He knew it. And they were going to either sign that goddamn act or they were going to get their funding cut. And if they got their funding cut, they wouldn't have been able to do what they're doing now, which is everything they accuse Iran of doing. So there's that. Trust and believe this shit. I ain't lying about none of it. Jack and Dandy's, look it all up. Everything America's done, everything that they've done since that piece of trash JFK got his brains blown out by the Israelis, via the Jewish mafia has been for an apartheid ethnostate run by some sinister rabbinates, by a sinister rabbinate in stolen land. And that's a fact. Oh yeah, bitch.